All right then, good afternoon everyone. Today is August 16th, 2020. This is a special meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority being held in Albany with the members participating remotely. We have by telephone Chairman Bradley.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. We also have by video, you can see it on the screen, Commissioner Ford and Commissioner Fan. Also on video, we have General Counsel Meyerhoff. We have Deputy Commissioner of Licensing Roberts on the phone.
I'm here, Tom.
And myself, Secretary Donahue in Albany. We have 6 items on today's calendar. There are requests from Council's office for summary orders of suspension. The first item is 929 quadruple G. It's Bronx OP 127-3362. Licensee is El Portone Bar and Restaurant Number 2 Corp. I'm new to this, but no, go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon. It's Lisa Ogden from Council's office seeking an emergency summary order of suspension for the license issued to El Portone Bar and Restaurant Number 2 Corporation. It's located at 576 Southern Boulevard in the Bronx. This license was issued on October 15, 2013. And last night, State Liquor Authority investigator McKenna, he made a visit to the establishment at approximately 9:10 p.m. He observed at least 11 patrons inside the establishment consuming food and beverages. You can clearly see in the pictures all of these customers. Some people are eating and drinking at the bar. Some are seated at the tables. There's clearly food and beverage in front of them, despite the governor's executive order that restricts on-premises service indoors. That by now everybody's aware of. The licensee will be charged with violating Executive Order 202.3 and failure to supervise. This licensee is not taking the public health, safety, and welfare of the community seriously, so I'm requesting a summary suspension of the license to protect the public at large from the further spread of the virus.
All right, with that, any questions, Commissioner Fan?
No, I have no questions.
Commissioner Ford, any questions?
It was also noted that there was a table smoking hookah. Are they approved for hookah?
I'm not aware at this time.
But it was inside anyway, so
It was.
kind of a mood issue. All right, thank you, Counselor.
You're welcome.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
All right, with that, I'll call for your votes. First, Commissioner Fan.
By allowing services licensees governor's executive order designed to contain the spread of COVID-19. Given how many people were inside and how casually they were sitting, it's very clear that this licensee is blatantly ignoring the governor's executive order. And given the evidence presented, I find that there's imminent threat to public health, welfare, and safety, and I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford.
I vote to summarily suspend for the same reasons as Commissioner Fan.
Right there, and Chairman Bradley.
I do the same. I think she summarized it very well. Thank you.
All right, then, next item I have is 929 quadruple H, Bronx OP 1272785, El Viejo Grand Cafe Corp.
It's Lisa Ogden again from Council's office seeking an emergency summary order of suspension for the license issued to El Viejo Grand Cafe Corp. It's located at 498 East 138th Street in the Bronx. This license was issued on December 6, 2013, and has similar facts to the matter I just spoke about. Same investigator from the State Liquor Authority, Investigator McKenna, he made a visit around 9:25 p.m. He observed at least 6 patrons inside the premises consuming food and or beverages while at the bar and at tables. In the pictures before you, you can clearly see a man is sitting at the bar with a drink in front of him. There are 3 more people sitting at another bar, again with drinks in front of them. Another picture shows customers seated at a table. There's food on the table in front of them. In addition, there are at least 3 employees, one of whom was the president of the licensee corporation, and they're not properly wearing their face coverings. This is a clear violation of the Governor's Executive Order 202.3, which restricts on-premises service indoors that everybody's aware of by now. And so the licensee will be charged with violating that order as well as failure to supervise. This licensee is also clearly not taking the public health, safety, and welfare of the community seriously. So I'm requesting that the license be summarily suspended to protect the public from the further spread of COVID-19.
All right then, Commissioner Fan, any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Commissioner Ford,
I have no questions. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley.
I have no question.
All right, then I'm going to ask for your votes. First, Commissioner Fan.
By allowing indoor service and also service by its employees wearing no masks, this licensee has violated the governor's executive orders designed to contain the spread of COVID-19 in our state. And given the evidence presented, I find there is imminent threat to public health, welfare, and safety, and I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford.
With a smaller crowd congregating outside within 100 feet, consuming from open containers, alcohol being sold to go without food. Actually, there was no evidence of food being prepared, period. Employees and the manager not wearing face coverings, serving past the 8 p.m. curfew, loud music being blasted into the street, selling nicotine hookah, which is prohibited, not maintaining the proper NYC DOT approved 8-foot passageway, no New York Forward reopening plan on site, the tables weren't properly spaced apart at 6 feet, pre-mixed sangria on premises, books and records not available on premises for audit, a discharge fire extinguisher order due for inspection, and other extinguishers not properly mounted. So with all of that, I vote to summarily suspend.
I think you're voting on the next case.
Yeah.
Yes.
Deputy Counsel.
I don't think Commissioner Ford, I don't think you described the case. The case we just had. I've been reviewing something else.
I'm sorry, I just scrolled up too much. Indoor service with 6 patrons consuming food and beverage inside bars and tables, and 3 employees not wearing face coverings. Yes, sorry about that. Scroll too far. That's why you're all, look, I vote to summarily suspend.
Okay, with that correction, okay, we have your vote, and now Chairman Bradley.
I'm going to vote to summarily suspend on the same grounds as Commissioner Pan. And I think we need to make clear here, the presentation was relatively abrupt, and there's a reason for that. And I think it's a good reason. Council Meyerhoff, can you describe why this was such a clear case factually? Or I can do it.
All right, Council Meyerhoff, do we still have it? All right.
So basically the reason this presentation was somewhat briefer than the other ones is because it's clear, and I think it has been clear for months, that inside service is an automatic summary suspension. And it's clear from the pictures and the description here that there was clearly inside service going on inside of New York City during the time when it's clearly been illegal for months. The pictures show people seated at the bar without masks on. I don't know that we need to hear any more than that to summary suspend somebody, and that's what happened here.
All right, so with that, I have the 3 votes to issue the summary suspension, and we will move on to the next item, which is 929 quadruple I, New York TW 1278531. Licensee is Villas Lounge 2 Corp.
Hi, members. Alex Slick for Council's Office. Council's Office submits the subject licensee, Villas Lounge 2 Corp., located at 130, 132 Audubon Avenue, New York, New York, to the members of the authority to consider an emergency order of summary suspension of its retail on-premises liquor license pursuant to Section 413 of the State Administrative Procedure Act. The licensee was issued a TW license on December 23rd, 2014. It is licensed to operate as a bar tavern with recorded music. The sole principal is Francisco Jimenez Gonzalez, and the restaurant is located in a mixed-use area. On August 14th, 2020, at approximately 11:01 p.m., SLA investigator Stravali visited the licensed premises to inspect for possible EO violations and other SLA and local regulation violations. While at the premises, he observed at least 3 employees, including the manager and 2 waitresses, not wearing their face masks or improperly wearing their face masks. Additionally, he did not observe any food being served with the drinks. He was not able to find any guest checks available for review or any other proof that food was being served. When he asked the manager for documentation, the manager was able to provide a bare bones menu, of which investigator Stravali provided a picture. It essentially just lists some sandwiches. And the manager stated that since patrons come to the licensed premises to drink, not eat, the premises truly does not have a traditional dining experience that I think is the one expected of licensees during this COVID pandemic. Additionally, there were 20 patrons congregating on the sidewalk and in front of the licensed premises, including in the sidewalk cafe area, at least one without a mask, and some of them drinking, consuming alcoholic beverages. The sidewalk cafe / open restaurant area that was in front of the licensed premises did not have tables spread out 6 feet apart, which meant a lot of the patrons were sitting not socially distanced from each other. Additionally, there was tobacco hookah for sale on the licensed premises, which is disallowed in New York under the New York City Administrative Code. Investigator Stravali also noted a series of fire code violations, including an unmounted fire extinguisher, fire extinguishers that had not been inspected recently, and hookah charcoal that was being prepared in an improper location. Additionally, there were no alcohol or liquor purchase receipts on the premises. There was pre-mixed sangria behind the bar, and the pre-mixed sangria was also being kept in unlabeled plastic containers, of which there's also a photograph attached. Additionally, for all of the reasons above, as well as others, the principal, Francisco Jimenez Gonzalez, is clearly not supervising the licensed premises adequately. The licensee cannot claim at this point in time to be unaware of the executive orders, guidance from the SLA, or from the DOH. They've all been in place for months and available for public review now. The executive orders were designed to prevent the spread of COVID-19, a deadly virus, and this licensee clearly cannot be trusted to follow the law. At this time, there is no more imminent risk to the public health, safety, and welfare than to permit patrons to congregate, linger, and drink alcohol without food, and fail to enforce social distancing and mask requirements with the patrons and with the employees, and to permit the numerous other SLA, ABC, and local regulation violations that were observed that place patrons, employees, and the community at large in danger. Therefore, we respectfully request that the members summarily suspend this license. One last thing before I finish, I'd like to point out that this licensee has some adverse history. 2 sale of minors in 2016 and 2018, noise violation and a disorderly premise. In the past 5 years, they've paid a total of $12,000 in fines to the State Liquor Authority.
Thank you, Alex. It's Gary here. This looks like a situation where we have a licensee that it just moved its operation out into the street without any conception of what the restrictions were, that the food was required, the tables needed to be spread apart in a fashion consistent with the way it operates its business generally, which is to not follow the law at all in so many different ways, notwithstanding the fact that they've been penalized in the past for not doing so. A compelling case of an operator that does not know what it needs to do to protect the public in this environment.
All right, with that, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I do not have questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, Tom. Thank you.
All right, then, Chairman Bradley, do you have any questions?
No questions, thanks.
All right, with that, I'll call for your votes. First, Commissioner Fan.
This licensee has a long history with our agency and have paid at least $12,000 in fines already in the past 5 years. So they really should know better than to continue to commit violations of the governor's executive order designed to protect from the spread of COVID-19. There's service past 11 p.m. and loud music, being piped onto the street, creating a nightclub atmosphere. There's also ongoing premising. This licensee is clearly disregarding the authority and also the governor's executive orders, and due to imminent threat to public health and safety and welfare, I am voting to summarily suspend this license.
All right, Commissioner Ford, your vote.
For those reasons, I would vote to summarily suspend as well.
And Chairman Bradley.
I'll do the same. Based on Commissioner Fan's summary of the evidence, I'm going to vote to summarily suspend.
All right, thank you. The next item I have, 929 quadruple J. It's New York OP 1028046. The licensee is ED&S Restaurant Corp.
Good afternoon, Chairman Bradley, Commissioner Fan, and Commissioner Ford. William Brennan for Counsel's Office. I'm here today to request that the board summarily suspend the licensee for blatantly violating Executive Orders 202.3, 202.38, 202.43, 202.16, and failing to adequately supervise the licensed premises. ED&S Restaurant Corp. DBA River's Edge has been licensed since June of 2013. The premises is located at 657-659 Lenox Avenue, New York, New York. On August 14, 2020, investigator Charles Travali conducted an inspection of the licensed premises. This inspection was prompted by an NYC PD 311 complaint received late on August 13th. This complaint alleged the patrons were, quote, partying and drinking on the front curb, unquote, that no food is served, and that the premises often has a DJ entertaining its patrons. When the investigator arrived, he observed at least 15 individuals standing in front of the premises, some consuming beverages, and most of these individuals were not wearing any face covering. When Travali entered the premises, he observed at least 5 people inside the premises seated in the bar, some with drinks in front of them. The manager, T. Walker Habersham, initially insisted that the individuals seated at the bar were employees, but when confronted by the investigator, Walker Habersham could produce no documentation that any of the individuals were indeed employees. The only food that investigator Travali observed were some tater tots he found in a refrigerator located in the rear of the premises. The manager could produce no receipts or guest checks that would indicate food was being sold. Neither the manager nor the 2 bartenders were wearing any face coverings. Investigator Travali arrived at the premises and commenced this investigation at approximately 11:49 p.m. The licensee was clearly operating in violation of the curfew currently in place of the city of New York. Based on investigator Travali's observations, and the pictures contained in his report, it is clear that this licensee has shown a blatant disregard for the governor's executive orders and the authority's rules and guidance. The manner in which this licensee is conducting business poses an immediate threat to the safety, health, and welfare of the public during this terrible pandemic. We respectfully request that the board issue an emergency order suspending this licensee. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, any questions?
I have no questions, Tom. Thank you.
And now Chairman Bradley, do you have any questions?
I have no questions, thanks.
All right, with that, I'll call for your votes. First, Commissioner Fan.
By allowing both indoor service and outdoor service, this license clearly put his own profit in front of the safety of his patrons and his employees. His employees are also serving customers with no proper face masks and creating a nightclub atmosphere, trying to attract attention. They also are continuing to serve alcohol with no food, and generally, the location is also have other health and fire safety issues. And so due to an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
Thank you. Commissioner Ford, your vote.
The small crowd outside congregating, consuming from open containers, indoor service to at least 5 seated at the bar. Manager at first said they were employees, but had no proof. Furthermore, they weren't even wearing face masks, no food. Patrons standing, consuming, not adhering to social distance requirements. There was a gambling device on the premises. Liquor license not properly displayed. So with all of that, plus what Commissioner Fan has already noted, I vote to summarily suspend.
And Chairman Bradley, your vote.
I'm going to vote to summarily suspend based on both commissioners' summary of the evidence. I think it's clear that this is a risk to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, thank you. The next item, 929 quadruple K, Bronx EB 1003480, La Espiga 3 Estrella, Inc.
Chairman, Commissioners, Bill Brennan again for Counsel's Office. I'm here to request that the board summarily suspend this licensee for blatantly violating Executive Order 202.3 by permitting inside dining in New York City and failing to adequately supervise the premises. La Espiga 3 Estrella, Inc., DBA La Espiga 3 Estrella, has been licensed since May of 2011. The premises is located at 558 Southern Boulevard, Bronx, New York. On August 15, 2020, investigator Edward McKenna conducted an inspection of the licensed premises. When the investigator entered the licensed premises, he observed 11 patrons inside the premises consuming food and/or beverages in violation of EO 202.3. The licensee failed to adequately supervise the premises to protect its patrons and the general public. Based on investigator McKenna's observations and the photographs attached to his report, it is clear that this licensee has shown a blatant disregard for the governor's executive orders and the authorities' rules and guidance. The manner in which this licensee is operating by providing indoor dining in New York City poses an immediate threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the general public during this terrible pandemic. We respectfully request that this board issue an order suspending the licensee. Thank you.
All right then, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, Tom. Thank you.
All right then, Chairman Bradley, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
All right then, I'm going to call for the votes of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
By allowing indoor service, this licensee has violated the governor's executive order surrounding the prevention of the spread of COVID-19. And I vote to summarily suspend due to imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare of this license.
All right, Commissioner Ford, your vote.
Yes, for clearly violating the executive order against indoor dining in New York City right now, I vote to summarily suspend.
And Chairman Bradley, your vote.
I vote to summarily suspend. Once again, this is a classic example of someone completely ignoring the indoor dining prohibition that is going on in New York City. There's a reason that is being prohibited right now. It's a very good reason based on the results that other states have seen from activity from restaurants and bars operating inside. And this licensee decided that they would ignore that prohibition. So I think they've created a obvious risk to the public health, safety, and welfare. So I vote to summarily suspend.
All right, thank you. The next item I have is 929 quadruple L, Queens OP 1308741. The licensee is Palace of Zuli, Inc.
Hi, members of the board. Alex Lloyd again for Counsel's Office. Counsel's Office submits the subject licensee, Palace of Zuli, Inc., located at 913 Wyckoff Ave, Ridgewood, New York, to the members of the authority to consider an emergency order of summary suspension of its retail on-premises liquor license pursuant to Section 413 of the State Administrative Procedure Act. The licensee was issued an OP license on May 2nd, 2018. It is licensed to operate as a restaurant. The sole principal is Maria Meija. The restaurant is located in a mixed-use area. August 15, 2020, at approximately 11:05 p.m., officers from the 104th Precinct conducted an investigation at the licensed premises. They observed at least 3 employees, one of whom was the manager, not wearing their masks or improperly wearing the masks. Additionally, they observed at least 16 patrons dining and or consuming alcoholic beverages inside the licensed premises. Some of them, as you can see from the pictures, are sitting shoulder to shoulder at the bar. They're smoking hookah, they're consuming beers that are sitting in the bucket of ice. Clearly from those pictures, the licensee is operating as though it were summer of 2019, not summer of 2020. Additionally, the licensee does not have a permit for hookah, and they were also selling tobacco hookah, which is not permitted. The officers from the 104 Precinct also observed fire code violations such as extension cords being used as permanent wiring. They also asked to review alcohol purchase receipts, and none were provided. For the aforementioned reasons, the licensee is clearly not supervising the licensed premises adequately. The licensee cannot claim to be unaware of the executive orders, the guidance from the SLA, or the guidance from the DOH. At this point in time, they've both been in place for months. They have been available for review. The executive orders were designed to prevent the spread of COVID-19, a deadly virus. This licensee clearly cannot be trusted to follow the law. At this time, there is no more imminent risk to the public health, welfare, and safety than to permit patrons to dine indoors and to fail to enforce social distancing and mask requirements, both with patrons and employees, and to permit the aforementioned SLA, ABC, and local regulation violations that place patrons, employees, and the community at large in danger. Therefore, we respectfully request that the members summarily suspend this license.
I would just like to add that this is an example of the NYPD actually helping us in police lawlessness related to the executive order. There are a few officers in certain precincts that understand how important this is, and when they're out there doing other work, like looking for violent felons in areas of New York City where there's been increased gun violence. But if we had the NYPD support like this in every borough on their beat, I think we would be doing a much better job of policing this and deterring it from continuing to happen. And inside dining is so obviously illegal. The police probably know where these places are, certainly better than we do in reacting. And I want to A, thank this lieutenant and his team, and B, for anybody who's listening, ask for further help from the NYPD because we need it. Thank you.
All right, with that, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
I'm good, Tom. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley, what about you? Any questions?
No questions, thanks.
All right, with that, I'll call for the votes of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
By allowing indoor service and serving customers with no masks on and then serving alcohol past the 11 p.m. curfew, this licensees violated the governor's executive orders designed to contain the spread of COVID-19. I find that there is imminent threat to public health, welfare, and safety and vote to summarily suspend this license.
All right, Commissioner Ford, your vote.
In addition, selling nicotine hookah, which is prohibited, period. I do believe in this case, the manager was found to be a convicted felon. Indoor service on 3 instances here that's noted. No certificate of fireproofing for the curtains. Emergency lighting above the front door was inoperative, and no receipts for liquor purchases. So for all those violations, I find a summary suspension for this particular premise to be in order.
All right, Chairman Bradley, your vote.
I'm going to vote to summarily suspend as well, based on the other commissioners' summary of the evidence, but I do want to reiterate what Council Meyerhoff just said. It's obvious to me that this was done, or at least it appears this entire inspection was done without the assistance of anyone from the task force or our office. I'm going to name the lieutenant, Lieutenant George Helmer, Special Operations Lieutenant from the 104th Precinct, who clearly took it upon, at least the NYPD took it upon themselves, not just to inspect this premise, but they inspected a variety of other premises for the same types of violations. They didn't find those violations at some of them, but they did find them here. They issued 4 summonses at this location. And, you know, based on what I can see, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, that they took it, you know, they took the initiative here without our assistance, and they did a great job.
All right, with that, Chairman, I have no other items. Do you have anything else you want to raise on this calendar?
No, I have nothing else.
All right, with that, then, the meeting is adjourned, and I thank you all.
Thank you.